Saturday football morning, and roll tide. I am your host, Lucian Graves, here at the Final Whistle, and this gonna be a big day today, ladies and gentlemen. Got a lot to talk about. Don't have a lot of time. Bama's got a big game this morning, 11 o'clock a.m., high noon Eastern. We're gonna roll into Missouri, take on the top running back in the country, one of the top offenses in the country, and one of the top defenses in the country. It's going to be a tough game for Bama, but I think the boys are going to come in there with a good, solid plan, and they're going to get it done. As I wait for my panelists, I'd like to thank everybody that shows up every day, Title Towel, our sponsor, and everybody else that has supported this network as we've been growing. We're going to go anywhere but up without you guys, so thank you very much. So, we're going to jump right into it here. We got some exciting top games. We're going to go with the top ranked matchups of the week. We're going to start off with, obviously, the top game of the day, in my opinion. Number 8, Alabama, rolling into number 14, undefeated Missouri at home, which is interesting because they haven't had to play a road game yet, so there's that factor. They boast literally the top rushing attack in the nation in Ahmad Hardy. This dude's averaging 7.8 yards per carry. He's got 730 yards on the ground already, 9 touchdowns. It's going to be a battle for Alabama. I mean, they're very, very disciplined in what they want to do offensively. They have a very stout offensive line. They got a quarterback who has literally blown his counterpart and partner last year in the backfield of Penn State, Drew Aller, out of the water this season with his performance. So, Mizzou, this is not going to be an easy game. They got some wide receivers that are pretty damn good. Kevin Coleman, senior, he's got 39 catches, almost 400 yards. They got another guy, Marquise Jones, has got 18 catches, couple touchdowns. They got a tight end that's 6'6", and Brent Norfleet. He's got 20 catches, but he's got 4 touchdowns in the red zone. He's a big target at 6'6". He's going to need to be someone Alabama's aware of going down the middle. And on the defensive side, they have the top pass rushing option in the country in Damon Wilson and Zion Young. So it's going to be an interesting to see Alabama fend off their defensive attack. And now welcoming to one of my main men to the stage, Mike. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, Lucian. It's good to be here. I'll be honest, I had a really intense week life-wise, so I did not get a chance to break into all these games. But you told me to come on the podcast anyway, even if I hadn't done anything, so here I am.
I did, because it's still, at this point in the season, your opinion, your thoughts are still valued on the games of what you know based off what happened last week. Because, we got to, there's some games that we got to go back and visit just real quickly now that you're here. We'll bounce back. What was your biggest surprise of last weekend, Mike?
The biggest surprise? That's a good question. I'm trying to remember. I've already forgotten. Was last week when Penn State lost, or was that the week before?
Oh, okay,
it was week, Penn brother. State. It's been such a long week. I wasn't sure if it had been 2. So yeah, that was a shock, right? For Penn State to come out that flat and unprepared to play a mobile quarterback like that. I mean, it was just and stubborn too. They were conservative and defensively, they refused to try to spy Nico, even though he was killing them on the ground, scrambling. It was a bizarre game. I mean, credit to UCLA, but it was a bizarre game.
I think Franklin's days might be numbered after that fiasco, because, I mean, losing to Oregon is one thing, but then going out there and getting your tail kicked in, it's like, bro.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and everyone says that, but here's my comment on that. He has a $56 million buyout. $56 million. Who's going to pay that? You know? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's not like a $10 million buyout where you call a few boosters and, get that money, you call it good. Like $56 million is a ton of money.
Well, you're right. If Penn State had some more lucrative NFL personnel, they might be able to get in a GoFundMe to fire his ass. But yeah, they're probably going to be stuck with him. Or what I think could happen is somehow that they find a clause that he's violated his contract in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And they just slide Jim Knowles in there.
Oh, interesting.
Jim Knowles, because you think about it, it's like I thought about this when the national championship happened. I'm like, why is this guy going to Penn State? That's pretty much a lateral move. You're doing the same thing at a different university. Unless you had plans, unless there was quite possibly even an understanding that if Franklin messed up, we already have our next head coach in place in Jim Knowles.
I mean, that's an interesting theory. I will say that it seemed like to me when Knowles left Ohio State, it was about the fact that he couldn't get along with Larry Johnson, the defensive line coach. And I will say, honestly, here's what I'm going to say. If you're Penn State, and let's say you do somehow get rid of Franklin, doesn't your first call have to be to Curt Cignetti at this point? He is 17-2 at Indiana. Indiana. 17-2.
The thing about that is, I don't know how they're gonna feel about him dropping the screw Penn State on every single one of his pep rallies, though, too.
I guess, but I don't know, man. If I'm like,
you would think so. You would think so. It would be, but
yeah. That guy evaluates talent like nobody else. I mean, the way he evaluates talent is unbelievable. So that would be my first call if I was Penn State, if I was trying to behind the scenes figure out if there's another coach available. Because I don't know who you can get other than someone like a Cignetti who would go to Penn State and be a clear upgrade from Franklin.
Yeah, but I don't know. Why would he leave Indiana for Penn State, though? That's not really much of a...
Penn State is a helmet school. Indiana is historically the worst school in Big Ten history on the field.
Yeah, but with his personality, he want to make that school great rather than go to a helmet school. If he's going to go to a helmet school, I don't think it's going to be Penn State.
You don't think so? Where do you think he would go then if he went somewhere?
Somewhere. And this is no
Auburn.
I would say his more direction is going to be probably south.
Yeah.
Just because of his personality. I don't think him in Penn State is a good place for him to be. He needs a little bit of excitement, and somehow he's bringing it out of Indiana. I'm not even sure how he's doing that, but he needs to go to a place where he can actually, volumize what he does. And I don't think the people of Pennsylvania are ready for his big personality yet.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The Penn State fans I talk to are so desperate to win big. I feel like they would embrace anybody they thought could do it.
And that might be true. I don't know. There's just something about Penn State and his personality and the way he likes to coach that just kind of like clashes a little bit.
Sure. I mean, I think it's
plus, you'd actually get a good quarterback in there, and that's something Penn State hasn't had in a long time. That'd just be shocking.
I mean, since Trace McSorley, really.
Yeah.
That they've had a really great quarterback who could, take over a game and stuff. Yeah.
And how long ago was that?
I don't know. He played with Saquon. How long's Saquon been in the NFL?
Oh, yeah, it's
been a minute.
I'd say at least, yeah.
Been a while.
Been a couple draft classes.
Yeah.
And Drew Waller was supposed to be that guy, but it's looking like Bo Pribola should have been the starter at Penn State, and they might have had a way different season because he's doing his thing
Yeah,
at Missouri right now.
Yeah, that was a missed talent evaluation. I mean, Drew Aller cannot process. He can't process. And when he had Tyler Warren, it didn't matter because he could just throw it to him. Right. But now that he doesn't have Tyler Warren, you can see that he can't go through his progressions. And not only that, Penn State, I don't know if you follow, there's a guy on Twitter who's like a Penn State insider who does a lot of like breaks down their scheme and stuff, named Landon Tangwell. And he was saying that Penn State's receivers were jogging through their routes against UCLA. Jogging out their routes. And that's like a culture problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I went through that the first game of the season, so I know exactly how their fan base feels about that type of shit.
Yeah.
But, Perbola boasting a 78.2 quarterback rating. He's only thrown 3 interceptions, completing 75% of his passes.
Yeah.
His true test is going to be today because they haven't really faced anybody of even stature. Their strength of schedule so far is at ranked 109th compared to ours being third. They do have the best running back in the nation. I will give them that. They do have an amazing running game, and we've been susceptible against the run, but somehow we figured out how to shut the last 2 teams down in their running game in the second half. So I'm confident going into this game that we're going to be able to get the job done.
I was going to say, didn't you beat them 34-0 last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of people are still holding that Florida State option over our head, and I completely understand that. But you have to look at the second half that we've done and only allowed 11 points in the last 4 quarters of 2 games. It's like we're not. I think in this their running attack is not built to kind of like defeat our defense. Our swarm defense is actually kind of geared toward this type of running back where because they're not really a smash mouth like Georgia running team or an Auburn running team or a heavy running team. They have a scat back running back who can get in and out of tackles in space. This swarm defense is kind of geared to kind of defeat that and kind of hone that into a position. And on the second hand, they definitely have not had to go up against a secondary like ours. This is actually going to be a game where our secondary actually gets to play ball. So I'm excited for it. It's a noon game. Y'all know who I'm going with. I'm rolling the damn Tide on this one to cover. I don't know if it's going to total 51, but I think Bama will cover.
Yeah, I do too. I like Mizzou. I think they're a really good team, and like you said, Prabula's playing great. They have a great running game, and they're scrappy, and they they're a good story. But I think they're out of their weight class right now. I do think that Alabama finds a way to win, probably by 2 scores. At least. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be as close as 3.5 points. That seems like a little tight for a spread for this game.
They do boast a good rushing attack, the top 2 as far as tandem rushers in the nation, but they haven't gone up against, decent right tackles yet. Today they're going to go up against. I'm not really sure who we're going to start. I hope it's our true freshman because if they start Michael Carroll and Caden Proctor, Caden Proctor's obviously going to start left, but if they start the true freshman at right tackle, Mizzou's going to have a problem because that dude is a specimen. And he ain't been letting nothing up lately.
It's wild that you guys always have true freshmen ready to start on the offensive line. That's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, we like to keep a pipeline to IMG Academy for at least one amazing lineman every class. Except this next class coming up, our diamond in the rough, as I'm calling it, we got him out of nowhere, and he's running up the charts, and I can't wait to talk about him at a later date. But
nice.
Moving on. Ohio State at number 17, Illinois, that has gone up to 15.5 points now. Obviously, the Buckeyes, top team in the nation. They haven't really had to be tested on the road yet in a hostile environment, and I'm kind of interested to see. I know the Illinois fans get rowdy, especially with their football team being very good. So I'm kind of interested to see and hear Mike's thoughts on this one. I know you didn't do his research, but the man is still knowledgeable. So, Mike, what do you got for me on this?
Well, I did research the Big Ten games because I do my podcast.
Oh, well, then
so
that's fine.
I'm
then.
good on those. I just didn't get to all the national games.
We're good then.
Here's the thing about Ohio State and Illinois. Like, I agree, Illinois' fans are going to come out. They're going to show up and make it an atmosphere. Luke Altmaier is one of the best quarterbacks, not just in the Big Ten, but in the country. I mean, he's fantastic, and he's playing at a really high level. The problem for me is two things. One, Illinois can't really run the ball. And two, Illinois is banged up in the secondary. And you're playing an Ohio State team with Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and Max Clare. And I just think that's going to be a lot. That's a lot of, and then you got Bo Jackson running the ball. And as good as Ohio State is on offense, they're better on defense. I mean, that Matt Patricia defense, I saw it up close last week, Lucian. They are unreal. And they're playing at a high level. They're playing NFL schemes. They're switching coverages at the snap and, being really sophisticated, but still playing fast and aggressive. And it's really impressive to watch. And frankly, I think that, I hear people saying that Illinois is going to score 17 or 20 points. I think that's disrespectful to this Matt Patricia defense. They're averaging giving up 4 points a game. So I think, as good as Illinois is, and I think Illinois is a very good team, I think this Ohio State team is an unstoppable juggernaut right now. And I just think that, the Buckeyes are going to walk away with this one. So I think it's something like Ohio State 38, Illinois 10.
Okay. Yeah, this is a game I had circled just by kind of going through Ohio State's schedule that was going to be a statement game for Julian Sand.
Yeah.
I have him having a big, big game.
Yes.
Yeah, I got the Buckeyes I got them by at least 3 scores.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to be close. I think I haven't really seen Illinois' offense wow me really this season. So, and with the way Ohio State's defense has been able to just bracket teams to just basically fall into to do exactly what they want to do, I see Ohio State winning big in this one.
Yeah, I mean, the Buckeyes are, honestly, they're better at this point this year. They're better than they were last year.
Yeah, I agree.
That's saying something, as they won the national title last year. So it is really impressive what they're doing. And Ryan Day just has it rolling at a high level. And I was critical of the Matt Patricia hire when they hired him as defensive coordinator, but I got to eat crow. He is looking like as good as it gets. I mean, he's been fantastic.
I also would like to see them go against a team that actually has an offense that's actually formidable too, with a quarterback that can actually, do something with the ball. Not saying that last week wasn't, anything.
No, I get it. No, I get it. I get it. You want to see them against. Yeah, it's if you look at Ohio State's schedule, I just don't know how many teams are going to really be able to meaningfully challenge them that way.
Yeah, no. That's my kind of dig on them.
Because they don't play Oregon. They don't play Oregon this year. So that means, that would be the team, I think. So I think in the Big Ten title game, Oregon could be a really interesting matchup for Ohio State. But I just, other than Michigan, who's proven they can play with Ohio State every year, I'm not sure who's going to be able to hang with the Buckeyes this year, in the regular season.
Because they don't even play they don't even play Indiana this year, do they?
No.
Yeah, so that's.
I wish they played Indiana, but yeah, they don't.
They got Wisconsin,
yeah,
Penn State, Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, and they're not really going to play a quarterback. That's no.
Crazy. I mean, Bryce Underwood by the end of the year, he's gotten better and better as the year's gone on, and by the time they play him, it'll be late November. But other than him, no, this is as tough a test as the Buckeyes are going to get today. And maybe it's a close game and I'm wrong, but I just looking at Ohio State, watching them up close last week, they're on a different level from what I'm seeing from most of the rest of college football.
Yeah. So moving on. This is going to be an interesting game right here. Indiana, number 7, Indiana versus number 3, Oregon. Mike, what you got?
I want to pick Indiana here. I like Indiana. My significant other is from a big Indiana family, so I get a lot of like Indiana propaganda. They gave me this hat, this Indiana hat that I have. But so I like the Hoosiers. I think Fernando Mendoza is fantastic. I think Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper are one of the best pair of wide receivers in all of college football. They can run the ball a little bit. They play good defense. They've got playmakers at every level of the defense. Mikhail Kamara on the offensive line, Aiden Fisher at linebacker, D'Angelo Pons at corner. I mean, they have playmakers. But Oregon is so deep. They're so deep. And Dante Moore is playing fantastic football. And I think to me, and, they have, Decorian Moore and their playmakers. They have a lot of speed. And for me, the difference is the Oregon defensive line. They have Mateo Uiagalelei and then Tuiati on the other side. And I think those two defensive ends and just the defensive line in general is so deep and so talented that it's going to be hard. Indiana relies a lot on the RPO. It's a very RPO heavy offense. And for the RPO to work, your running game has to work. And I don't know if the running game is going to work. I think Oregon might play a light box and say, we can stop the run. We can stop the run with a light box. And if they can stop the run with a light box, then it's hard because then you have more guys back in coverage and zone getting their hands up, blocking those RPO passes. So I worry that if Indiana can't run the ball, and this is what we saw against Notre Dame last year, right? If Indiana can't run the ball and can't make their RPO game work, then they really struggle offensively because the RPO is such a heavy aspect of what they do.
All right, quickly like to welcome in the third member of our panel, E-Man. What's going on up there?
Not too much, man. Sorry about that. I had a rough night and set my alarm incorrectly. That's on me, guys. My apologies.
Hey, you're all good, brother. We're just rounding out the top matchups. Indiana, Oregon. What are your thoughts? Who are you taking?
I mean, I think this is going to be the game of the weekend. Top 10 teams, in my opinion. 2 top 3 to maybe top 5, but maybe in my opinion top 3 quarterbacks in the country facing off. Me personally, I think that Oregon pulls it out. I think Dante Moore's playing better than any other quarterback in the country right now. I think that Oregon's got a more talented team. I'm not trying to take anything away from Cignetti. He's an incredible talent evaluator, but I think Dan Lanning's a better coach and just has a better team all around. I don't see Indiana being able to beat them on the road at Oregon, but it'll be a fun and close game.
Yeah, I think I have this game a little bit closer than what it is because I personally think Cignetti's is one of those coaches that can bring certain things out of players that a lot of coaches in college football aren't able to do. And I think he has a mind and he does have some talent that could hurt Oregon in certain situations. And I think that he's going to make this game a lot closer than what people feel like it's going to be. But so give me Oregon, but I only got Oregon, but in a tight one.
Yeah, Fernando Mendoza could be a first-round pick in next year's NFL draft.
I think he is. I think by the end of the season, I think him and Dante Moore are both going to come out of it being a top 3 quarterback in the country.
Yeah, and Mendoza, him being that good, I do think gives Indiana a chance to make this interesting, and especially just because, man, nobody can cover Elijah Surratt. even Ohio State had trouble covering Elijah Surratt last year at times. You know, like he's for real, and Omar Cooper too. I mean, they're such a great pair of receivers. It's I knew Cignetti was for real last year when he kicked Donovan McCulley to the curb and said, "You aren't good enough to play wide receiver for me." And now Donovan McCulley is Michigan's top receiver. And Cignetti was like, "You're not good enough to be on my field playing wide receiver." And I was like, whoa, this guy's crazy or he knows exactly what he's doing. And he knows exactly what he's doing.
All right. So we're going to shift gears quickly and we're going to go through these blowout games real quick. And then we'll get to the meat on the bone. At 12:45, we got Washington State at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a heavy favorite at home. I think they take care of this one. I think they cover the spread. I think Ole Miss is playing really good football right now. Lane's got those dudes laning. So, give me Ole Miss in this one.
Won't it be better when the SEC plays 9 conference games too and you don't have these mid-season blowout games?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we did have a season like that during COVID where we just played SEC football.
Yeah.
And it was, we played 10 as SEC football games, and that was a good year of football right there.
Yeah, I mean, we have to move towards that. I mean, if we're going to have the playoffs and a fair evaluation process, everyone needs to play the same number of conference games, and there really needs to be some kind of regulation around out-of-conference games. I don't really care which direction it goes, but it just needs to be across the board. And I think that the SEC moving to 9 is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And that's my way of saying Ole Miss can name its score here.
Right.
Because Cam Ward is not walking through that door for Wazoo. It's not happening. Neither is John Mateer.
Okay. Moving on to the next one. Vatek rolling in to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at 13th, 5-0. I think Georgia Tech's going to take this one. I think it might be a little bit closer because Virginia Tech just has a way of just sticking its thorn in somebody's side, and I think it's just going to be Georgia Tech today. I think Georgia Tech's going to win. I just think it's going to be a little bit closer.
Sure. The Kyron Drones era at Virginia Tech just has not gone as well as people hoped. You know, he has not, kind of like Drew Aller, he kind of hasn't moved forward. And Georgia Tech, I mean, I know they had that scare against Wake, but they've been really impressive this year. And Haynes King is playing at a really high level. They're getting, their other playmakers are doing pretty well. That defense is pretty good. Georgia Tech's really impressed me this year. I think what Brent Key's done there has been fantastic. I mean, he's a really great coach. And so I think Georgia Tech wins this one. I have to pick my future Big Ten conference foe, Georgia Tech, in this game.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be all that close. I think the spread is probably a little bit probably right, and I think that Georgia Tech will beat them probably by a little bit more. Full 2 touchdowns or maybe like 17 points. Georgia Tech has been so good this year. They've been one of the top 10 teams in efficiency. They're forcing turnovers in key moments. They're playing lights out. I don't know if I can remember seeing Georgia Tech play like this before, a season like this before. And
I mean, under Paul Johnson, they had some seasons where they were this good.
Yeah, but I don't know if I was paying attention to them then.
Sure. That's
and in
fair.
Virginia Tech, it just feels like they're because I want to like Kyron Drones, but it feels like they don't have an identity. It feels like they're scrambling, trying to figure out who they are still, and it's halfway through the season. I just don't think they're going to be able to make it a game, especially on the road. If I had to put a score to it, I'll say Georgia Tech 35, Virginia Tech 17 or 20.
Love it. Okay, going on. NC State versus the nation's top-hated team, Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a heavy 23.5-point favorite. Mike, thoughts?
I mean, I'll be honest, I have not watched a lot of NC State football this year, but I do think Notre Dame has kind of gotten better and better as the season goes on, and their schedule has kind of gets worse and worse as the season goes on. So right. My thing is, I don't think Notre Dame has a schedule much weaker than what most power conference teams are playing. So, I don't really think a 10-2 Notre Dame should be in the college football playoff race, but you see them ranked in the AP poll, even at 3-2, which I think is kind of crazy. But I have a feeling we're going to be stuck with Notre Dame right in that playoff race right to the end, because I think they're going to go on a big tear and they're going to win a bunch of games by a lot of points, including this one. And we're going to be stuck at the end of the year with a giant Notre Dame fan base clamoring to get into the playoff, and it's just going to annoy me. So I'm sure Notre Dame wins this one big. I'm an Irish hater, so I always want to see them lose. So I will be rooting for Penn State or for NC State here, excuse me. But yeah, I think the Irish roll here. I think this is a big Jeremiah Love game, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Notre Dame is losing this game, but I do think it's going to be a little bit closer. I don't think that they cover the 23.5 or 23.5 points. I think that NC State, if this was a year ago, I would almost say that they need to be on upset alert, but they lost a lot in the portal. They still get their quarterback is still sneaky good. They have a really fast receiver. I can't remember his name. It's like Smothers.
Hollywood Smothers.
Yeah, they have big play potential to be able to sort of to light it up a little bit. I do think that Notre Dame wins, but I think they just have more talent. I've said before, I like Marcus Freeman as a coach. I think he's able to sort of keep it steady and win, but I'm not taking the 23.5 points. I'd say Notre Dame 38. I'll say NC State 24.
I'm of sound mind and thinking, as much as I'd like to take NC State and the Wolfpack, big fan of those guys in the program they got going on there. I don't think Notre Dame covers just because of the weapons that NC State has. And if their defensive line can hold, they do have some playmakers on the back half. So give me Notre Dame 42, NC State 31.
Ooh, a shootout. Okay, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think both teams are definitely gonna be putting points up on the board. It's gonna be a fun game to watch. I just don't think that NC State has the athletes to pull it out. But it's gonna be a shootout.
Notre Dame's defensive coordinator now is Chris Ash, right? I believe. Yeah, yes. I don't think he hasn't done very well there. It has been kind of shaky with him in charge.
Yes, he is currently the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, he's a guy. It's he's got to prove he can carry his part of the weight too.
Yeah, I mean, neither one of the coordinators for Notre Dame were doing well to start the season. I feel like the offensive coordinator sort of figured it out. Defense needs to as well.
Yeah.
So, to quickly recap last night's absolute shootout between USF and North Texas last night. USF finished at 63, and North Texas put up 36. I didn't get to watch that game, but I caught a little bit of the highlights, and just, wow. Defense just was not prevalent in that game.
Yeah, I watched parts of that game. I think North Texas threw 3 or 4 picks. So it could have been 63-56 if North Texas hadn't turned the ball over. So, you know what I mean? It could have been over 100 points scored easily if North Texas hadn't turned the ball over as much as they did.
Yeah, I mean, I like you, I didn't get to really watch the whole game. I was getting the highlights and the updates as it was going, and it was crazy. I mean, so is USF this year's Boise State or SMU?
I am a really big fan of some of their defensive players and their coach. I would say so, but I think they're probably going to come out on top of that conference. That conference is actually getting pretty competitive right now, but I think they're the best team in it, and they got a good chance.
I mean, USF or Tulane, right? I feel like those are the top group of 5 teams right now.
Well, and what does that do for, like, if you look at the AP rankings with Ohio State and Miami in 1 and 2? I would say that, and this isn't me trying to hate on Ohio State, I would say that there's an argument to be made for strength of schedule that Miami should be ranked number 1, because they had one cupcake, but then they beat South Florida, Florida State, Notre Dame, Notre Dame, and Ohio State beat Texas, but Texas is looking like not Texas. And then they beat Grambling State and kind of struggled with Ohio. It's like Minnesota and Washington are look like better wins than the one over Texas. And not to take anything away from Minnesota and Washington, I kind of feel like Miami's wins are looking a little bit better.
Resume-wise, I agree with you, but I just think the dominance Ohio State is showing on the field is so crazy. It's so dominant. I know Miami's been dominant too, and Ruben Bain is an absolute problem. But Ohio State just seems to get better and better every week right now. So I'm totally okay with resume-wise, I see what you're saying, but when eye test-wise, the Buckeyes look amazing.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not trying to hate on the Buckeyes with this. I know they're my school's rival. That's not my point. I think 1 and 2 is correct. Like, those are the right 2 teams. But I was just
you can hate on the Buckeyes.
No, I'm just saying.
Hate on the Buckeyes.
When I looked at the schedule, I was like, I kind of take more away from Miami's wins than Ohio State's. As the deeper we get into the season and what we're seeing from Texas, it just, I don't know. It just doesn't seem as good of a win. On the flip side, USF is looking like a pretty damn good win for Miami.
Oh, I would fully agree.
Yeah,
we're going to make that argument once the playoff rankings start coming out here in the next few weeks. But starting off with the first game of the day, 3-2 Pitt at number 25, 3-2 Florida State. They have gone down to a 9.5-point favorite in the ACC battle. Let's go in reverse order. Eric, what do you think in this game?
I think it's going to be okay. I'm actually a really I really kind of really like Pitt, but that's a lot because I'm a fan of Eli Holstein. I think is how you say his name.
Didn't they bench him?
They did, and that's why I'm not going to take Pitt in this game. I think he's a better quarterback than Mason, whatever his name is. I think he's a better quarterback. I think they should have stuck with Eli Holstein. I think that they have a pretty good team around them, but I don't see them being able to pull it out against Florida State. Maybe it's a little bit biasness for me because I don't like that they benched my guy, but I don't know. I think Florida State's just shown a lot more this season. I was wrong about Castellanos, and so I don't really want to bet against him right now. So I'll take Florida State 31, Pitt 20.
Yeah, the new Pitt quarterback played really well. So I know Holstein's your boy, but I think the new Pitt quarterback played pretty well, especially considering he's a freshman. That said, Florida State needs to win this game. They are 0-2 in the ACC. That is not what anyone expected after they beat Alabama. No one thought that they were going to drop to 0-2 in the ACC. So if Florida State doesn't win this game, then I think it's time to start talking about hot seat Mike Norvell.
I think we're way past that.
Think so?
I thought he should have been gone after last season, personally.
Yeah, it's hard to fire a guy 1 year after he goes 13-0,
though. See, I would agree with you, except when you go 2-10.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I think Florida State, this is a get-right game for them. I think they come out and play really well. I think that Gus Malzahn goes into his bag and pulls out some really good stuff offensively. I think Florida State wins this one, something like 34-20.
I like that. Give me Florida State. I think that this is a game that they have to respond. This is one of those games I'm going to put under a statement game. I think Florida State covers big in a bounce back game at home. Give me Florida State 35, Pitt 17. Now we get to the Red River Shootout. That's now an SEC game, which is awesome. We got 5-0 undefeated number 6 Oklahoma rolling into Texas. Texas is now the favorite at 1.5. Fellas, talk to me. What do you think about the Red River Shootout today?
I think I want to know if John Mateer is playing or not. That's what I want to know. Yep. Because if John Mateer is not playing, I think that changes my pick. If he's playing, I like Oklahoma. They have it rolling. That Brent Venables defense looks really good. I think Arch Manning is already having problems processing. Now he has to play against a Brent Venables defense. But if they don't have John Mateer, that severely limits what they can do offensively. So I have a really hard time picking this one without knowing if John Mateer is playing or not. But Texas, again, when you talk about needing to win, Texas better find a way to win this game. They don't want to drop another SEC game and be 3-3 overall. That would be kind of a disaster in Austin.
Yeah, this game, it's like, man, before this season, I was so hyped as a non-fan, as an unbiased fan to watch this game. Arch Manning and John Mateer, and right now it feels like it's kind of lost a lot of its luster. Arch is not what we expected him to be. John Mateer, I think John Mateer is good, but I remember saying on this show following the week 2 game against Michigan that I didn't think that if he continued to play like that, he would be able to hold up over the course of a season, especially in the SEC. And we're less than halfway into the season, and he's already missing games. I have a little bit of a different take on this, though. I was a little bit more confident in Oklahoma. Just if you take John Mateer out and look at how badly Texas is playing with Arch, I know Michael Hawkins is not like going to light up the scoreboard, but he isn't. He's more experienced of a quarterback right now than Arch Manning is. And I honestly would have sort of leaned into the Oklahoma side of this, even with Michael Hawkins, just because of the experience. I think the talent of both teams is pretty close. I thought Texas was more talented team prior to the start of this year, but it's not really playing out like that. And it seems like Brent Venables is a little bit of a better coach. But the fact that they seem to be trying to push John Mateer back early from injury is giving me pause in that either they don't trust Michael Hawkins enough to take him into this game, that they feel they need to try to push John Mateer back early from injury. And also, like, how effective is John Mateer going to be with that injury to his hand? So the fact that they feel like they have to sort of push him back and try to get him back for this game makes me start to lean over towards the Texas side, just because tells me that the coaching staff has more doubts about their team than I would have. If I was going to put money on it and had to, feet to the fire, I would say Oklahoma probably pulls it out in a close game, maybe like a 3 or 4 point game. I'll say Oklahoma 24, Texas 20, but I don't feel confident about it. Even if John Mateer plays, because I don't think he's going to be. I mean, how effective is he going to be with the injury to his hand?
Well, I am not going to lie. I am in a way different world than what you guys are in right now. Because I live in this world called the SEC. And in the SEC, defense roams and raids and rules supreme. And if you look at why Texas got their ass beat last week, it's because they took sacks. And Florida doesn't really have a good defensive line. They got some guys on there that can get pressure. But the fact that Texas gave up 11 sacks to one of the lowest defensive lines in the SEC compared to this week, the top defensive line in the SEC, Arch Manning is not going to be able to move the football. Oklahoma has a very formidable defense. They are very good at all three levels, and they can get turnovers. And on the flip side, their offense is going to pump to the heartbeat of their defense. I think their defense comes and just blanks Texas. Personally, I don't think that Texas's defense is as good as everyone says. And honestly, I think Oklahoma's going to win this pretty convincingly, because nothing that Texas has done at all this season shows me otherwise. You guys not realize they lost to Florida last week? Florida. We're talking about number 6 Oklahoma and unranked Florida. I don't care who the quarterback is. We faced Michael Hawkins last year. Alabama did in person, and he did a damn good job against a defense just like ours. And Texas's defense is formed to be just like ours. So I don't see him having too big of a problem with it. I think that the fact that Oklahoma's healthy plays a big key, minus their quarterback. I think they got some guys, especially in the skill position, that can take advantage of Texas. I got Oklahoma winning this one 35, Texas 21.
But are you more confident in Oklahoma's offense with a not 100% John Mateer instead of 100% Michael Hawkins? Like,
I'm confident both ways.
I don't know, man.
I'm confident both ways because here's the thing. If they play Mateer, they're going to have a game plan to supplement him and do different things. If they don't play Mateer, I don't think Texas is going to be able to. They're not going to be able to do well with what Hawkins is going to be able to present them with. I just think that Oklahoma has Texas kind of backed into a corner because Texas has to win this game. Yes. There's no other way. They know they have to win this game. Oklahoma, on the other hand, is coming into this game as the bigger bully. And I think the bigger bully is going to push Texas around because Texas is going to be playing like, okay, we can't make mistakes. And that's not a good way to play football in the SEC, especially when you got the defense coming in and a quarterback that struggled against the defense they did last week. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the difference in this game is going to be that Arch throws a couple picks against this Venables defense. And I think you see Oklahoma score on short fields off of turnovers, and that's how they win the game. Because Arch Manning against a Brent Venables defense, I just feel like is a recipe for disaster for Texas. Absolutely. If I'm Texas, I'm coming out trying to run the ball and do the Sark thing where they throw a million screen passes, because I would be afraid to push the ball downfield.
That ain't going to work against Oklahoma, though.
Is CJ Baxter at 100%? Is he going to be in this game or no?
I have not heard confirmation that he is or isn't. I know he was banged up a little bit. So if he's not 100%, then Texas is in some trouble.
Yeah.
They haven't dropped the injury report yet that I've seen. So, but moving right along, number 22 Iowa State versus 2-4 Colorado. They got this game close, and it has remained close. And I'm kind of curious because I don't think it's going to be close. I think Iowa State's going to come in and put on a show at Boulder. So give me Iowa State. I think this is going to be maybe a higher scoring game a little bit. So give me Iowa State 38. Give me Colorado 17.
Yeah, the Cyclones are licking their wounds a little bit after that Cincinnati debacle. That said, I do like Iowa State here. I think they're a scrappy team. I think they play hard. Rocco Becht is a really smart quarterback who makes good decisions. And, Colorado's got a lot going on. Dion, unfortunately is having health issues off the field, which I think is probably a little bit of a distraction from what they're doing on the field. So I wish Coach Prime the best. Absolutely. I hope his health improves, but I don't think it's going to go well today. No.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a really big fan of both of these quarterbacks, Rocco Becht and Caden Salter. But I think that Becht has a much better team around him. I think they've got a much more stable program and without the distractions, like you were saying. I do think it matters that they're playing at Colorado. So I don't think it's going to be a complete blowout. But I would take Iowa State probably 34-23 over Colorado. I think it's going to be fun to watch both quarterbacks, but I just think that Colorado's going to make more mistakes and just not be able to keep up with the athleticism on Iowa State. Iowa State, I'm trying to remember. They're the ones that have that the citrus guy on the defensive line, right? Orange.
Oh, I'm blanking.
The defensive tackle. Because I'm trying to think. I want to say that he's. Hold on. We can move on. It's a small point. I was just going to say that he hasn't played as well as I expected him to, and I want to see him step up in the game. But now I'm second guessing whether or not I'm getting him mixed up with a different player. No, Dom Orange. That's he's the nose tackle for Iowa State. So I want to see him step up because right now, I had a lot of expectations based on what I had seen leading into the season. I was looking at him as potentially like a decently high draft pick in next year's draft. He hasn't shown that so far. He's got the size and he clogs the middle, but he hasn't really shown the ability to really penetrate. I'm looking to see if he can do that against Colorado's offensive line in this game.
Nice. All right, so moving right along, we got a bunch of SEC games here before we get into the other Big Ten games. We got 2-3 Arkansas going into Rocket Top. Tennessee is a 9.5-point favorite. Fellas, what do you got?
That feels like not enough points. 9.5. I feel like it should be more. Has Sam Pittman been fired yet? I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
They did fire him.
He got canned.
So maybe this is a Bobby Petrino special. Maybe he did you see somebody wrote a puff piece about and called it the Ballad of Bobby Petrino, like he was some sort of tragic character and not some guy who got himself fired by screwing around with a subordinate? I thought that was ridiculous. I think Tennessee rolls here. I don't think Petrino has the players to make his offense do what he wants his offense to do.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I agree. I think it's kind of a funny story with everything that's going on in Arkansas. I don't have hate for Bobby Petrino. He messed up. It is what it is. But have you seen the push that there's people that want him to be hired as the full-time coach again and to bring back Ed Orgeron too?
Dude, they want a lot of people want Petrino, and he's positioned himself. He got himself to be the interim coach. I think Petrino thinks if they make a bowl game, I think Petrino
or even have marquee wins against Tennessee or teams like that.
Yeah, it could be a thing where it helps get. Man, can you imagine if Petrino got his old job back? That would be the wildest thing ever.
But people are wanting him to bring back Ed Orgeron too.
Orgeron, in what role?
I mean, I'm assuming as a coordinator, but I've just seen it. I've seen it posted way more than I thought I would, just on social media, and it's crazy.
We do need Orgeron back in college football just because of that voice. That voice is so funny. The way
wasn't that guy from the Water Boy based on Ed Orgeron?
I think so. Yeah,
the one that you couldn't understand what he was saying.
Right.
But no, I think this is a blowout. I think this is going to be. I think Tennessee scores more than 40. Maybe that might be low. Arkansas will be lucky if they hit 20. So I'm going to say Tennessee 42. I'll give Arkansas a benefit of the doubt and say that they get 17.
First and foremost, I hate Tennessee. So everybody on this network and everybody watch me know when this subject comes up, I just brush it off to the side. So Tennessee is going to win the game. And moving on. The Gators are coming into the number 5 Texas A&M Aggies. And this is the night game. Or no, it's not. Yeah, it is. So
is it?
Yeah, I was looking at another game. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a game. I think Texas A&M rolls big in this one. I don't think it's 7 points at all. I think Texas A&M gets at least a 17-point win here.
So you weren't impressed by Florida beating Texas?
No. Texas is. I mean, I don't. No. No.
Who's been the bigger disappointment this year, Texas or Penn State?
Well, I knew Arch Manning wasn't any good. It just took this year for people starting to listen to me because I watched this film in high school. It looked like he was playing fourth graders his senior year. But I would definitely say Penn State. Penn State had the top roster in the country. They were preseason national champions. They were picked by everybody. James Franklin was going to be preseason coach of the year.
Yeah.
He goes out and loses to an 0-4 team the first time since 1985. Yeah, Penn State.
I mean, Penn State hasn't beaten a power conference team yet.
Can I just take a little bit of a victory lap because I was the only one on here that was saying that I didn't think that Penn State was for real when we first started at the start of the year, that James Franklin was going to James Franklin and lose games that he shouldn't. And last week, do you remember me saying that I would take Nico over Drew Aller, that I trusted him more?
Yeah.
Oh, you did say that, but I said I wasn't comfortable in that game at all because
listen, the same way that you're talking about Arch, and people just kind of shouted it down on the shows that I've been on that I've said this. A lot of us up here in Michigan, Big Ten country, were saying that Drew Aller was not what everyone was hyping him up to be. James Franklin is not the guy. It's just we kind of expected the same way you expected Arch to bust, but yeah, I mean both teams have sucked this year. To give you my prediction on Texas A&M and Florida, I think Texas A&M is for real. I think Florida's middle of the pack at best. I still think Billy Napier gets fired after the season. I really like DJ Lagway, but I don't think they're going to be able to overcome Texas A&M. I don't think it's as big of a point spread as you did. I would say Texas A&M 27, Florida 14. But I think Texas A&M. I don't think there's going to be really any point in the game where Texas A&M is not in control.
Yeah, I think. Well, first of all, I'll say, pass me all the crow, I'll eat it because I was in on Penn State. I thought, with everything they brought back, they spent so much money to keep that roster together. They have the two of the highest paid coordinators in college football. I thought there was and all those transfer receivers and everything, and that defense, I thought there was no way they could miss. And for them to be as bad as they've been is just mind-blowing. So that's my bad. I was wrong. As for this game, yeah, I don't think it's a big win, but I think it's like 27-17 Texas A&M. I do like Marcel Reed a lot. I think the Texas A&M defense is playing well. Mike Elko's a really good coach. And I agree. This could be the beginning. This could be kind of not the beginning of the end, but getting towards the end for Billy Napier if they drop to 2-4 here.
And I know we don't really get into recruiting too much on the show, but I just want to point out something. 5-star running back committed to Penn State, Keemon Spiel, last night in an interview said, "I'm not with 100% with Penn State anymore, and we'll be taking visits. We'll see from there."
They lost a 5-star receiver too.
Yep.
Who was committed?
They're not the only ones.
Who just
They're not the only ones. I'm pretty big plugged into recruiting over here, and I do some of the graphics for the Alabama guys, and they're not the only school that's had some very, very top recruits say that their recruitment is now open because of what's happened. Even some Texas guys are starting to be like,
yeah.
Yep. But moving right along, Kansas at Texas Tech. Ooh, this is my game. This is my game right here, guys. What do you think? Thoughts? Night game, Texas Tech.
I think that Texas Tech D line is really good. That's what I think. And I think Kansas, so much of it with Kansas comes down to Jalen Daniels being able to do the dual threat thing and, run the ball and scramble and extend plays with his legs. And against that Texas Tech front, I don't know how well that's going to go. So I think Texas Tech rolls here. I don't know what this, maybe 42-28, something like that. I think Kansas will score points, but Texas Tech ultimately, when they shut the door, I think they're going to shut the door.
Yeah, I've got Texas Tech 38, Kansas 24. In this one, I think that Jalen Daniels is going to have at least one just key turnover at a bad spot that's going to lead to points. Whether it's a defensive touchdown or not, it'll lead to points. How good is Baron Morton? That's a quarterback that's kind of come out of nowhere. And what do you guys think his ceiling is? How good is he?
I was impressed. I saw the Utah game against Texas Tech. I thought he was impressive. I was more impressed with the Texas Tech defense. I haven't watched him in depth, so I guess I don't know what his ceiling is. Lucian, what do you think?
I think it kind of depends on who he has around him as far as how far he can go, because I have a little bit different take in this. I think this is actually going to be a very, very close game, if not an upset, because Kansas has weapons. They got some very, very fast weapons. And the Achilles heel to Texas Tech defense, they're not exactly disciplined and speedy on their back end. So their Kansas quarterback can handle the pass rush. I think Kansas can keep this game very, very close, if not win it. So that's my take on that one. Texas got a good defensive line, but I think Kansas they have the right amount of explosiveness to combat that if they can get the ball out clean. If they can continually get the ball out clean, this is going to be a very good game. Okay, moving on. Number 10, Georgia at 3-2. One of the most hex places in the country, Jordan Air Stadium. Georgia is now a 4.5-point favorite. But there's also something else happening that should be able to throw a little wrench in this game. Cam Newton's number is getting retired today. So does that add a little bit? Is that why this score is the way it is? Fellas, talk to me.
Yeah, so I mean, I've said all year, and listen, I might be wrong on it, but I haven't seen enough to change my opinion. I don't think Gunnar Stockton's the guy. I don't think he's that good. I'm not huge on Auburn. We've been over this, a few times. I think that they've got a sort of a dumpster fire down there with what they're doing. I think that probably adds a little bit to it. And I'll give him credit. Jackson Arnold played decent last week, and I am a fan of Cam Coleman. So I do think it's close. I can't really tell you why, but I do think it's close. And I think it's probably like a 3-point game, like 23-20. I just think that, like you said, it's really weird. Jordan Hare is almost like up here, like going to play in Wisconsin. Like for some reason, it's just harder to play there than it should be. And I just think that the gap between Gunnar Stockton and Jackson Arnold is smaller than people think. I think Georgia wins, but it's going to be a tough game. I'd say they probably win on a field goal.
Yeah, I think this is circle the wagons time for Hugh Freeze. I mean, he desperately needs something to go right for him here. I also don't think Gunnar Stockton is that great. I'm not saying he's bad, but I just think he's kind of an average to a slightly above average quarterback. You've seen Georgia at times look really good, at times not look as good. Their wide receivers aren't very good this year again, which has kind of become a consistent problem for Georgia, not having those standout wide receivers under Kirby Smart in the last couple of years. But yeah, I just think Georgia still is a team that recruits at a top 3 level, 3 or 4 level every year. And I think just talent-wise, eventually, I agree with you. I think it's going to be close, but I think talent-wise on defense, I think Georgia makes enough plays on defense to win one. So I think it's something like 24-17 Dogs.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. Georgia's got a good running game. They have a very solid running game. And if they win time of possession, Auburn doesn't have the type of offense to strike quickly. You're not going to strike quickly on a Kirby Smart defense. Auburn does have good receivers, but Georgia has good DBs. They have very good safeties, and they're very hard to get caught out of place, especially with the second half adjustments they make. I don't think that this is going to be as close as some people think it's going to be. I think Georgia gets going early. And I know that you guys say that Georgia doesn't have a good quarterback, but guys, I'm in the SEC. They ain't had a good quarterback in a very long time, and they've been winning natties with terrible quarterbacks.
Hey, Stetson Bennett was better than people gave him credit for.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, okay, we can agree to disagree. I think Stetson
You're
Bennett
in college for 8 years. That's not impressive, Mike. Like, that's the thing. Like, yeah, you get good, but you've been in college for most of a decade. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's not impressive to me. If you're 24 years old still playing college football, you should be good at football because you're an adult playing, young boys at that point. But I just think Georgia and Kirby spoil Cam Newton's jersey retiring. Oh, I'd love that. Make me smile on the inside.
What do you think Cam's going to wear? He always has big outfits. What do you think he's going to go with outfit-wise? Think he's going to have one of his big hats he likes? He likes the big hat.
Oh, yeah. He'll look like he just got off the Mayflower in navy and orange and blue. 100%. 100%. He might even ride in on a horse. I would not be surprised if that dude came in on a horse. I would not be surprised.
Dude, I would love that. They should bring him in on a horse. He carried them that national title year, so they should carry him in.
I mean, yeah.
I saw someone the other day say something I never thought about, but like they said that Cam Newton is this generation's Dennis Rodman. And like
interesting.
I had never thought about that, but now I can't really argue against it.
I need to see Cam Newton, though. Cam Newton never did anything as over the top as when Dennis Rodman got married to himself. And he put on the makeup and the wedding dress and like the whole thing.
If there's a Dennis Rodman, I think that's more like Draymond Green behavior type stuff. Because
Draymond Green is not secure enough in himself to be Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, but that's just Cam. Like that, like Cam his personality hasn't ever changed. It just got on a bigger spotlight. He was always a character. So this is like for us, this is not anything new for us seeing him do what he's doing. But I don't know. Like I said, it was just something that I saw and I was like,
I can't. I find it hard to argue against it.
All right, now we go to the Big Ten. Number 15 Michigan versus the 4-1 Trojans. There's been a lot of talk between the coaches, so we're going to let the Michigan man go first. What do you got?
So, okay, let's talk about the talk between coaches. This is being turned into something way bigger than it actually was. Like, he made a little offhand comment. Sharon Moore made an offhand comment in the press conference that they're sold out because of Michigan. He's not wrong, okay? No. USC's had 3 sellouts in the last year. They were against Penn State, Notre Dame, and Nebraska. What do all 3 of those have in common? Like, they're blue blood or borderline blue blood
they travel well.
Status. They travel well. They have huge alumni bases and fan bases. Michigan's second biggest area of alumni is California. There's a reason that when we play in the Rose Bowl, that the stadium is dominantly Michigan fans in the stadium, even when we would play Pac-10, Pac-12 teams. There's going to be a large representation of Michigan fans at USC. This is being blown up into something way bigger than that.
Yeah, but it's okay. But that's one thing. But you don't got to mention it. There's certain things you don't have to just touch on and just broach on and shed light to. And the fact that he shed light on it and USC's coach reacted like he did, I don't think we're blowing it out of it at all. A jab is a jab.
But yeah, so as far as the game, it's tough. I think that because I'm a big proponent for Jaden Mayava. I love Makai Lemon. I think that he's incredible. Their running back, I think Jordan. I think he's very underrated. I think we can win it, and of course, I'm gonna side on or err on the side of Michigan here. I think it's going to be very close. I think that we have to. It can't be like Nebraska. When we get into the backfield and we get hands on Mayava, we have to take him down. We can't let him squirm out of those tackles because he has the ability to turn that into a big gain on the ground and scramble away. I think a lot of it hinges on whether Jacoby Lane plays or not, because if he doesn't play, that will allow Wink to really focus on Makai Lemon. You look at how he was able to bracket Jeremiah Smith last year and effectively take him out of the game at Ohio State. And if Jacoby Lane's not in the game, Makai Lemon is by far their biggest threat. And I think if you allow Wink to sort of hone in on that, it's going to be largely effective. I still think Lemon will have a couple plays here and there. I don't think we're going to completely shut him down, but I do think that the effectiveness of the offense goes down a lot if they've only got that one real weapon at wide receiver. I think that we as in Michigan, have to make sure not to get behind early, because USC is not the type of team that we really can try to claw back from a 2 or 3 touchdown deficit late. So we have to be willing to sort of air it out and jump out ahead the way that we did in 23 with a lot of teams. And to that end, I think that USC is going to come out and they're really going to stack the box. They're going to try to take Justice Haynes away from us, and they're going to dare Bryce Underwood to find one of the receivers down the field and make a play. I think we've got to be willing to – we've got to design something with the scripted first couple drives to get some big pass plays, or if nothing else, allow Bryce to scramble out when there's nothing there on the pass plays and make them have to respect his arm and his legs to open up the box for Justice Haynes. I also personally think that we should do a lot more running back rotation early with Jordan Marshall trying to soften up the defensive line so that we can open up those lanes later in the game for Justice Haynes. All that said, it's going to be a very close game. I'm going to say 27-24 Michigan, and I think it's going to come down to a key field goal by our amazing kicker, Dominic Zavada, or as we call him, Darth Zavada. He's going to have to be ice cold in this game, and he's going to have to make at least one, if not more, multiple key field goals.
Yeah, I kind of think the wrong team is favored here, but here's the case for USC. Obviously, Jaden Mayava's playing at a really high level at quarterback. Mekhi Lemon is fantastic. I mean, he's about as good as it gets. After Jeremiah Smith, he's as good as it gets in the country.
Those two and Jordan Tyson.
Yep. And I do agree, though. Michigan did a good job bracketing and making Jeremiah Smith really work for it and taking him away a little bit last year. So I think if USC is going to win this game, it's got to be Jacoby Lane and the tight end Lake McCree. I think it's got to be big games for those guys because I do think Mekhi Lemon will make a few plays, but I think they're going to do their best to take him away. So I think it's really going to be about those 2 and 3 options, Lane and McCree, for Mayava, and he needs those guys to have big games and to make plays for him. But I like Michigan here. I don't think USC is still able to pound for 4 quarters with like a physical Big Ten team and be the team that's going to win after that. And I just think, Michigan is gonna with Justice Haynes, Jordan Marshall, and then I think I would run Bryce Underwood in this game.
Yeah.
I would run him more. I would maybe even do some read option stuff and really make them consider him a number in the run game. So they have to account for him all the time. And if they have to account for him in the run game, that's going to open up lanes for other, for the running backs. So I think Justice Haynes breaks a couple big ones. I think this is really close. I agree that I think it's going to come down to kicking. And, Michigan has a fantastic kicker, as you already alluded to. So I've got a similar score to what you have, but I've got 30-27 Michigan. And if Michigan gets through this game, gentlemen, they are probably going to make the college football playoff.
Yeah, because I mean, then I don't think we're losing to anyone other than maybe Ohio State, and that's 10-2 at worst. So a couple things real quick just to point out. We do get Gio El-Hadi back on the offensive line, and he's by the most experienced and by far the leader of our offensive line at left guard. So that's a huge thing. And then also we get Hogan Hansen back, we've got 2 good tight ends. Marlon Klein is the most athletic, and he's the one that you've seen showing out. But as far as pass catching tight ends, a la Colston Loveland that we had for the last few years, Hogan Hansen is that guy. And I think that we need to run a lot more 12 personnel. And Andrew Marsh, true freshman wide receiver, I told you guys to watch for him last week.
Good last week.
Yeah, and I think he's clearly wide receiver 2, and I almost like wide receiver 1A, 1B with McCulley in the sense that I think Marsh is probably a better pure receiver, but McCulley has a skill set that no one else on the team. Well, one other guy, but he's a true freshman, Jamar Browder, which you will see in this game a little bit more. But he's kind of like McCulley, just with higher ceiling but less polish. But I think that Andrew Marsh has solidified wide receiver number 2. I am very disappointed with the rest of our receivers. Samaj Morgan has been there too long to be dropping passes like he is right now. I don't care how good you can run the routes. I don't care how good you are with the ball in your hand. If you can't catch the ball, none of that matters. So, in my opinion, run 12 personnel, motion Hogan Hansen out into the slot if you need to, and when we do run 3 receivers, rotate Samaj, rotate Kendrick Bell, rotate Anthony Simpson, and let one of them take the job for themselves. Until they do, focus on 12 personnel, focus on the run game, get Hogan Hansen involved. And also on defense, to the thing with bracketing the receivers and taking them out, the biggest part to that, in my opinion, is getting Rod Moore back. Rod Moore came back from that injury. He was down for like 18 months with that the torn ACL, MCL, and then he had some complications and had to have a follow-up surgery. He came back, and he looks like he hasn't missed a beat. He's picking up right where he left off from the 2023 national championship year. And if you guys remember how Mikey Sainristil was so important on the defense that year, and he was basically the quarterback on defense. Rod Moore is that guy. He is able to do that. If you watch last week's game, the way he was able to diagnose the offense and what they were doing and move into the right position, he has Wink gives him a lot of latitude to really kind of do what he thinks he needs to do in the defense and move around where he needs to be. And I think as far as shutting down the wide receivers in the pass game of USC, Rod Moore is going to be a major key to that. I think he's going to have a good game as well. And again, Jayshon Barham, I said at the start of the year that we needed to play him at edge more, and the more we've done it, the better he's looked. He's just too athletic, and sometimes he overplays his athleticism and overplays his pursuit. But aside from that, he's incredible. And I think the defense is going to look for a big game from Rod Moore and Jayshon Barham today as well.
Jayshon Barham's the best player you ever stole from another Big Ten team.
Yeah.
He's pretty great.
I mean, we do have Ernest Hausman, which we took from Nebraska.
Sure.
So, and I think in a lot of ways, Hausman's ability to always be in the right position at the right time allows Jayshon to sort of do what he's going to do and make those big plays. Same thing with Cole Sullivan, allowing him to make the big plays. But yeah, I think there's an argument to be made that Jayshon is. I mean, his ceiling is huge. I think he's going to play himself into a first-round pick this year.
Also, I just want to say I don't trust Lincoln Riley in big games at all. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. He is a guy who will call pass plays even when he should run the ball in big games because that's his comfort zone. And he's like, well, I better throw it. And it's like, but Lincoln, it's it's 3rd and 1. Just run the ball, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's going to be a time when USC, it's like when you're like USC should run the ball and Lincoln Riley is going to be like, no, I'm not. I don't think I will. And I think that's going to hurt him a little bit.
Who would you trust more in a big game situation to lead your team to victory? Lincoln Riley, James Franklin, or Steve Sarkisian?
The fact that it's such a question says
it's
something
not a
about
question.
these guys.
It's not a question. It's not a question at all because one of those guys had a quarterback shoved down his mouth that he didn't want in the first place.
Ooh, so you don't think Sark wanted Arch Manning?
He didn't want Arch Manning. He wanted somebody else that went to another university that's balling out right now.
Then why did he recruit him?
Completely different talk. He didn't. The boosters in Texas wanted him.
Hold on. Who is this other quarterback that he wanted?
Who's the quarterback?
We could talk about that off air. That off air. That's some SEC stuff. That's a different topic. But the fact that when Sark has a quarterback that he wants, Sark is a very dangerous man because you forget Sark coached with my boys, and Sark is one hell of a coach when he has a quarterback that can throw the ball.
Sark is an amazing coach. Yeah.
When he doesn't have a quarterback that can't throw the ball, a la Arch Manning, he looks like, you know what I'm saying? You give him a formidable quarterback, we're having a completely different conversation, and Sark's not even in that battle.
Okay, so take Sark out of that question though. Then Lincoln Riley or James Franklin?
Lincoln Riley. James Franklin has never done anything to impress me ever. Lincoln Riley can at least put an offensive game plan together.
I will say we had them beat last year, and James Franklin beat us on a fake punt, and I was really impressed by that because I thought that took stones to run a fake punt deep in his own end. I mean, I thought he was going to run it, but he did. But yeah, at this point, I don't like either one of them. But at this point, it's hard to argue for James Franklin in anything.
Yeah, both of these teams are teams that I kind of like their coordinators more than I like their head coach at this point. I've said that about James Franklin before with Kotelnicki and Schwartz, or Knowles. Excuse me, not Schwartz. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then I got to admit I do like Danton Lynn for USC. I just don't think he has the guys to run the defense. He runs a version of the Wink Martindale defense, the amoeba defense that I love so much. I just don't think he has the guys. I don't think USC has recruited the defensive side of the ball to the level that you need to be able to run that defense.
So I got a little bit. Personally, I think this is going to be a close game, but I think it's a little bit more of meaning if Lincoln Riley loses this game, I think that puts him on the hot seat. So that's why I'm going to take USC in this one in the kicking battle, because I think that USC's legacy and Lincoln Riley's coaching job is more so on the line than Michigan's what they're going to do this season. Because we said that Michigan's going to get in the playoffs at 10-2. I think they're going to beat Ohio State personally, because they've had their number, and that's just the voodoo of that way that game goes. But I think USC in this situation on this day is up more with their backs against the wall, and I think that's going to propel them to a victory in this one, a tight battle.
I think there's more pressure on Sharon Moore than you think. Last year was a big disappointment, and there are great coaches out there on the come up. And I do think, I'm not saying Michigan wants to fire Sharon Moore, but if this season went south, it wouldn't, like if they lost this game and lost to Ohio State and maybe lost one more game or something like that, like it wouldn't shock me if Sharon Moore was out. But I'm with you though. I'm not with you in the game. I think that I'm with Eric in that I think Michigan is more physical up front, and I think Justice Haynes is the best player in this game, and we're going to see that today.
Well, and just real quick, I mean, USC, you saw what they did when Illinois punched them in the mouth and ran on them up and down the field.
Yep.
And historically, USC and Lincoln Riley teams, they don't do well against physical teams.
Nope.
That seems to be the type of team that is built to beat them. So until we see them do it, it's hard to really buy them, not just against Michigan, but any team that can be physical and run the ball like that. It's hard to buy USC with that. As far as the Sharon Moore stuff, I think there's pressure on him, but I don't think he's in danger of getting fired. The way he's recruited and turned around that aspect of the team compared to how it was in the final years under Jim, the way that the players are so bought into him, the coaching staff, everyone, there's pressure on him for things like opening up the play calling, letting Chip Lindsey do what he's there to do, letting Bryce actually play Bryce's game. There's pressure on him, but I don't think he's in danger of being fired. I don't think that's even a conversation as long as Bryce Underwood's at the school.
Fair.
All right. Moving right along. We have 3-2 South Carolina versus number 11 LSU. LSU is a 9.5-point favorite. Afternoon game. Surprising for LSU. They normally have a night game. I think this game is going to be pretty close. I think South Carolina's defensive line is going to affect LSU's lack thereof an offensive line. And I think they have the athletes on the outside to make this game really close. Really close. I think they might. I don't think LSU covers the spread at all.
I don't either. I think if both teams were completely healthy, that LSU would still be need to be on upset alert here. They're also without their leading receiver. Aaron Anderson is not playing in the game. So, man, and Nussmeier has, again, it's another quarterback that has not lived up to the preseason hype. He was supposed to be this solid, high floor, field general type quarterback returning to LSU this year. I just don't think he's played up to that. Now, on the flip side, I also don't think Sellers necessarily has played up to his potential either. No. But I kind of, man, this is like my head is saying that LSU that doesn't lose this game, but my heart is saying that I want to buy into South Carolina's upside more. It's just that there's a lot of unrealized potential there. Oh man, it's so hard for me to say. I want to say I think the LSU probably wins a very close game, but I want to pick South Carolina, so I'm going to pick an upset. I'm going to say South Carolina wins. I'm going to say 29-24.
The thing with LSU, and it Nussmeier's fault? Is it really his play, or is it the fact that they don't have any running game at all?
Which is crazy when you look at what they
putting,
have.
Well, right, because of the way they recruit and everything. The pressure that they're putting on Nussmeier not being able to run the ball is like crazy. I don't think Nussmeier's as bad as Al or anything. That's what I'm saying. They can't block for him and they can't run the ball. So it's
their running backs are so good on paper though. Like, why is it not working?
It's the O-line. And why is the O-line so bad? Why does a Brian Kelly team have a bad offensive line? That's not something we're used to seeing.
And Joe Sloan is
offensive line last year.
But Joe Sloan is such a good offensive coordinator. He can't scheme around their deficiencies. Like,
it doesn't seem like
five new guys, brand new offensive linemen being broke in the SEC. That is not something you want to have to operate with. And teams know that going in. Like, if you know that you're going up against a team that has 5 new offensive linemen, you're going to feast on them with stunts. And you're going to throw the kitchen sink at them. And eventually they're going to get overloaded. And it might not even take eventually. That's why LSU can't run the football. And until they figure that offensive line out, they're not going to be successful. And South Carolina has got 14 sacks on the season. They possess one of the best pass rushers in the country. And they got some dudes in the secondary that if that ball's floating and they can stick some of these receivers, as we said, Aaron Anderson isn't playing, that South Carolina could potentially upset LSU in this game, in my opinion.
No, I think you're right. Lenore Sellers is really, really dangerous. Obviously, he hasn't played up to expectations this year, but he is really dangerous. I want to pick South Carolina, pull the upset here. I'll be honest. As much as I don't like him, and I think he's a terrible person, and again, that's something I don't need to talk about on the air because Brian Kelly is a monster. He's a bad person. But he's a very good football coach, and I think he's feeling the pressure, and I think this is a game he needs to win for his own security. So I think that LSU will play well defensively. I think I think maybe Nussmeier has a little better game here, and that LSU finds a way to win this game. I'm not saying by a lot, but, maybe, 27-20 or something like that.
I can take that. All right, moving out to the Big 12. We got number 18 BYU undefeated versus 4-1 Arizona at home. BYU is a 2.5-point favorite. Hey, talk to me. What do you got?
So with this game, I think BYU is going to win ultimately. I think it'll be rough. I think it'll be bigger than the spread. I feel like Noah Fafita has really kind of underperformed. I just think that they lost more than what people thought they did, and BYU has kind of showed out a little bit this year. I thought that BYU was going to lose a lot with when they lost their quarterback at the start of the season, but they've played as good, if not better, since then. So I'm not super in depth on my knowledge of the team construction, but based on what I've seen on the field, I think this is another game where BYU is going to control the game from start to finish. I think it's probably a 31-21 game.
You think they control it from start to finish?
Yeah.
You don't think this is a close game at all? Interesting. I don't know. I mean, BYU has been really good this year, but they also haven't really played anybody good yet. Like they've had a pretty easy schedule up until now.
Yeah, but if they were to beat Arizona, would you say that they beat somebody big even then? I wouldn't.
No, you're right. I don't think. I mean, I will say it's impressive what they've done without Jake Retzloff. I think, BYU, I don't know. I feel like this is coin flippy. I think Arizona has a real chance here. The game is in Arizona, right? Which is good for them. I haven't watched either one of these teams play enough this year to really feel strongly about it. So I guess I will pick BYU, but I don't know if it's convincing or not.
To me, Just based off the little bit I've got to watch both of these teams, I like Arizona in this one. I think them being at home and some of what their defense has been able to do, I think is going to give BYU a lot more fits than what people are saying. So give me Arizona over BYU in a close one. 30. Give me 33-28. 33-28 Arizona. And our last game of the day would be number 21 Arizona State at a 4-1. My bad, Utah. What do you guys got? Spread is 9.5 points to the Utes. Thoughts?
This is a Kyle Whittingham special, isn't it? You've got a ranked team coming into town, coming into Rice Eccles with a pretty good quarterback and all that kind of stuff. But Cam Scattaboo is not walking through that door. He's in the NFL now.
No, but Jordan Tyson is.
No, you're right. You're right. That's fair. Utah, look, if Utah is going to keep the dream alive this season of winning a Big 12 title, getting to that Big 12 title game, they have to win this game. And I think Utah at home, if they're a physical team, I think they find a way to get it done. I think it's close and ugly, but I think it's something like, 23-20 Utah.
So I'm going to pick an upset here. I'm a big believer in Jordan Tyson. I think that Sam Leavitt and Jordan Tyson are going to have a bit of a statement game here. I think this is the type of game that they can do that in, where they can go into an opponent's home and just say, this is ours. And I just expect a big game from them. I like Dampier. I just think today we're going to see Leavitt and Tyson ball out. I think it'll be a close game. It'll be a tough game. But I'm going to say, I'll say it's going to be a 26-20 win, Arizona State. I'm just that high on Jordan Tyson.
Yeah.
I think he's potential top 10 pick
in next year's draft, huh?
Depending on how this season goes, yes. But I think whether it's this next year or the year after, he's top 10 caliber.
Wow. Yeah, that's that'd be something if they could pull off that upset. That would kind of ruin the Kyle Whittingham farewell tour a little bit.
Okay. Comment in the chat. Leavitt's not playing. If he's not playing, then maybe not an upset.
Leavitt's not playing. That's no good. Yeah.
Yeah. If Leavitt's not playing, I'll probably say it's like 27-17 Utah. I still think Jordan Tyson's good, but I don't know anything about their backup quarterback. But if Leavitt was playing, I would pick an upset. But that's my fault for not being up to date on that. I did not know Leavitt was out.
So I gotta quick say, obviously this here, the Saturday AM Scramble, is the world's premier pregame show. But on that other show, College Football Game Day or ESPN College Game Day, apparently they did a big Bill Belichick puff piece, and everybody on the crew talked about how bought in they are and how they think Bill's gonna turn it around. Man, yeah. I knew the moment they hired Bill Belichick, it was a disaster. There was no way a guy who's never been in college football was going to walk into college football and just understand how to do it right away. And when I knew they were screwed, gentlemen? Their starting safety, Coleman Bryson, was our fourth safety last year. He was our fourth safety. And when I watched the opener, their first game, and I saw he was starting, and I was like, "Oh boy."
Yeah, I knew that they were cooked when his girlfriend was like on the sideline calling plays or something. I don't know. It was crazy.
Yeah, dude.
Like when you take a job as a head coach at a college, and then get your girlfriend enrolled in the college, and then have her down on the field for practices and games.
Well, and he put all his buddies on the staff.
Yeah, and I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I think his son is a decent coordinator.
Yeah.
And there's some players on UNC that I like, but it's just not going to work. And like,
no,
the pettiness of them not being able to mention Drake May because he and stuff because he plays for the Patriots. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why is that even a thing?
Yeah, it's Bill Belichick is proving more and more every day that Tom Brady deserves a lot of credit. That's what he's proving.
Yeah.
Well, that's, guys, you have to put the time period with the grain of salt. He's coming from coaching grown-ass men who you can curse at, throw stuff at, and it's okay to, you can't say anything to these kids these days or they'll get in their feelings. So I think the demographic of him coming from the NFL and coaching grown-ass, hard-nosed men to prissy pants North Carolina football players, I think that plays more into the narrative than he's just not able to coach football. I mean
he couldn't evaluate talent. He didn't bring in the right talent.
But who is he going to bring in? Who is he going to bring in at the like? He's recruiting in the South against absolute juggernauts. Like, if he would have went to another part of the country and actually had people to recruit, but I mean, let's face it, who the hell is he going to out-recruit at North Carolina?
I'm just saying Mac Brown wasn't great, but he managed to have a winning record every year.
I mean, not during the NIL.
I mean, they went 7-6 last year, I think. Didn't they? Something like that. I think they went 6-6, 7-6. I mean, I'm just saying Belichick I think he thought that college football coaches were not as good as NFL coaches, and he would automatically be better than them. And he's finding out that it's a totally different game, and he's wrong.
Well, it's very rare to find a coach that can be successful at both levels, like Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh, Jimmy Johnson, the Barry Switzer. The list is short.
I mean, even the great Nick Saban couldn't cut it in the NFL.
Nope, he could not.
Yeah, but I don't think that he thought that at all, because he's very good friends with Nick Saban. So I'm pretty sure he knew exactly what he was getting into as far as when he came back to college football.
I don't know how it's just a disaster, and I don't know they're recruiting all that well, and it's just like it's just not looking good for them. But I had to bring that up quickly because I just thought that was funny that the game day set guys really still believe in Bill Belichick.
I mean, there was a report this last week that he's willing to let them buy him out if he can find another job before he leaves.
I know,
like another coaching job or analyst job,
or a media job. Yeah,
right. Like, who says that while you're employed as a head coach?
I mean, it's wild. It's wild stuff. I mean, that guy is
somebody
he's got
that
no
doesn't
filter.
No, and that's why I love him, because he doesn't have a filter. And he took athletes that didn't deserve to be champions and made them champions. So,
I mean, yeah, but also Tom Brady, and of the two, which has had success since they split.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but look at all the other talent that he brought along that wasn't top tier talent until he got under their coaching tutelage.
Okay, but look at the number of receivers. Okay, take Randy Moss out of it, but look at all the receivers that came into New England, and Tom Brady made them look like top tier receivers, and then they go get a big contract somewhere else, and they're nothing. Like, I mean, it's a list that's a mile long, and so as far as making players look better, I also don't think you can take that away from Tom Brady either.
I could turn around and say the same argument about the defensive players if you really want to get that deep into it. So.
Well, but I think the defensive players you also got to look at who were the defensive coordinators and look at the different eras there at New England.
They were still running Bill's scheme. It was still Bill's scheme.
Yeah, I don't know.
You listen.
Some of them.
You listen to those guys talk. This is what I hear from them. This is what they're saying.
I mean, some of them. I'll say Matt Patricia, absolutely. Brian Flores, no. So I think it depends on the coordinator.
Well, we can agree to disagree on that one, brother man. But
I would say that Brian Flores' defense right now is a better defense than anything that was run at New England.
Yeah, I disagree on that one. But like I said, we can agree to disagree. Do we have any more thoughts on today's games that are going on, fellas?
I think the Gophers better get a win, or I'm going to be really upset tonight. That's
who are they playing today?
Purdue. It's homecoming.
You guys should stomp Purdue.
We should roll, but Purdue has been scrappy this year, so it's a must-win kind of game. We got Nebraska next week, and that's a big one.
Did Purdue win their game last week?
I forget who they played. I don't think so.
I know. I don't remember who they played, but I know that I picked them to lose because I remember talking about Barry Odom and not bringing Brendan Marion with them.
They were in I think one of the blowout games we did last week. Eric.
Let's see. Let me look quick. It was they lost to Illinois. It was 43-27, but it wasn't like a blowout. It was like kind of back and forth, and like Illinois was ahead. You never really thought Purdue was going to win, but they were kind of in the game. You know what I mean?
What's it looking like for Darius Taylor?
Darius Taylor was on a pitch count last week, but it looks like he's all good and he's going to be full out today, which is key.
Yeah. You guys are going to dominate that game.
Yeah, I hope so. It's homecoming and we have a bajillion recruits at it. So I think that's one we got to win, and that's really important for us. I'm not picking the upset, but watch Nebraska Maryland, because Maryland is feisty.
Yeah.
And it's in College Park. And I just think Malik Washington is playing fantastic as a true freshman quarterback. And Nebraska, having to travel to the coast, maybe, Nebraska's lost 6 in a row to Minnesota, so they might be looking ahead a little bit to next week. Just saying. So I think Nebraska beats Maryland, but I think that could be a really interesting game, especially if Maryland gets out to an early lead.
Maryland's done a lot better than I thought they would. This season. I thought Mike Locksley was going to be coaching for his job, and I didn't think he'd pull it off. I think he's probably safe now.
He saved his job. Saved his job.
But I do take issue with ESPN claiming that Malik Washington is a better true freshman player right now than Bryce Underwood. Sorry.
Well, okay, that's not true. But Malik Washington is really good. He's really good for a true freshman.
They just recently did their ranking of freshmen, true and redshirt freshmen, and Malik Washington was one of 2 players that were true freshmen that were ranked higher than Bryce Underwood. And I was like, no, come on.
No, I don't think so. They had redshirt freshmen on that list too. I wonder if my boy Drake Lindsay made the list.
I'd have to go back and look. I think Drake Lindsay's done really well.
Yeah, dude, he's the most talented quarterback we've had in a long time. So, yeah, you look around, I think there's some UCLA, Michigan State. I feel like I'm not a gambling man, but I feel like UCLA is going to come back down to earth against Sparty. So if I were someone who bets, I'd be betting on Michigan State, I think, in that one. So I think that's an interesting one for sure.
I still think I take Nico over Aiden Childs, and if they can beat Penn State, I don't think Michigan State can beat Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think I think that Nick Marsh is a better receiver for.
I agree there.
Everybody that UCLA has.
I really like Nick Marsh. I'm not a believer in Aiden Childs. I'm just not.
Dude, I'm not a big believer, and it's funny, my podcast partner is, and he picked him as his breakout quarterback this year, and last year he picked Hudson Card, so it's like it's becoming a curse where everybody he picks then has a bad season.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I guess looking other around, those are the big. Oh, and Iowa, Wisconsin. If Luke Fickell loses this game to Iowa tonight, Wisconsin will probably go 2-10. So they really need to win. Wisconsin desperately needs to win. And I don't think they're going to. So I'm enjoying it's Iowa, Wisconsin. So whoever loses, I'm going to dance on their grave.
I just want to give a shout out to my guy Keegan in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, man. And he just had a comment about the Illinois Ohio State game. You guys probably covered that before I joined the show, but I don't know if you want to touch on that for him.
Yeah, what do you think about Illinois, Ohio State, Eric?
I think I agree with Keegan. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people are giving it credit for, but I don't think that Illinois is going to be able to beat Ohio State. I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to be a lot closer than what. Yeah.
I'm going to restate what I said earlier. This game won't be close.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Julian Sain's about to put on a show that Illinois is not. No,
I just think
they're good.
Oh, go ahead.
They're good. They're a good football team. I'm not taking anything away from him, but this offense and what they're about to do, and they don't. And no offense, in Illinois' offense has not wowed me once this season. Yeah. And how Ohio State's defense is bracketing teams, I don't see them scoring, if anything. And
but
I
they
see
beat
Julian
USC.
saying,
that didn't impress you?
No.
No, okay, that impressed me that they beat USC, but I just think this Ohio State team, I said it before, Eric, you got on the show. I think they're the best team in the country. I think they're going to win the national title again. So I think it's like 38-10 because it's because this Matt Patricia defense is so good. They're so good that I just think it's going to be hard. I think Illinois scores on their first scripted drive, and then after that, I think it's going to be really hard to get points. I'm not just trying to hate on Ohio State. I do think they're very good and they might win the national championship again, but I don't think they win the Big Ten. I think they lose to us again. And I'm going to hold to what I said all off season. I think Oregon wins the Big Ten this year. Okay.
I think Dante Moore is playing lights out. He's the best quarterback in the country. I think Mateo Uiagalelei, or however you say his name, is one of the best defensive linemen in the country and pass rushers. I just think that Dan Lanning's a better coach than Ryan Day. I think Oregon's got to break through, and this year's as good as any. I'm going to stick with my pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And Mateo Uiagalelei is amazing. And on the other side, they've got two Iadis, so it's hard to double team one of them because you've got the other one. You can't double team.
And you got Betcher at linebacker. Like I really like him too.
He is great.
So, and I mean, their wide receivers, I think their wide receivers are lights out. So
it'll be interesting to see as we go. We're halfway through. This is the halfway point of the season, gentlemen. So this is an exciting time.
Yep.
Right. So I got to get to getting ready for our games. That's why we're cutting this short this morning. If you guys don't have anything else, let's roll out with our team phrases. Mike?
Sky you ma, row the boat, go Gophers.
And as always for me, it's go blue and beat the Trojans.
And I'd like to thank everybody for showing up in the chat. We had some new people. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. And be sure to tune in next week because we're going to go through all these exciting games that are going to happen today. And if you know, you know, roll Tide. It's always going to be the Tide. And we're going to roll over Missouri and put another stamp in everybody hating on Alabama today. So hope everybody has a good weekend. Enjoy it. This is a great football weekend to be on the couch and some football. So, everybody, take care.